They say just do it. I say do it like this. The topic for the moment is everything you do programs you. Um, People like to compare people to computers. I don't know if that's quite fair, um, being that computers don't really have the kind of uh, cognitive flexibility that a person has, even rudimentary, right? Uh, but this metaphor of programming, of providing instructions that said unit follows, well, that's true. Um, and everything you do programs you. Your brain, everything influences you. So how do you prove that? Um, I think it's observable when you see the evidence in your own life of the influences and how you remember stuff and how you can, something will come to mind that you hadn't thought about in years. Well, where was it, right? And so this basic assumption, right, that your brain, your body are storing everything that happens to you is reasonable, right? Um, and so anything that's there is going to be used to, you know, have you make decisions, right? And that's what training is about, right? Training is really about um, reprogramming the body in order to execute in different ways, right? And when I say everything you do programs you, doesn't necessarily mean that, you get to, like I like to say, like, I can't program myself to be an NBA basketball player, right? It probably won't happen at this stage, right? Um, that's okay. But when it comes to um, attitudes, values, principles, how you want to move, how you want to make decisions, uh, you are influenced by your environment greatly. You guys can just look up. There's tons of research that you can look at this. I don't. People say, "Oh, why don't you do more research, James?" It's because I don't have time, right? Um, there is so much that we can learn and work with together that that's just based on observations that we can share, um, that can provide a lifetime of fun and excitement. So I'm gonna stick with that and have the other people do research for now. There's some topics that I have to do research on in order to present. Like I had this idea about snake oil and how there's different snake oil fake products and fake promises made from generation to generation and how they've changed. And uh, I was going to make a video on it. I was like, listen, you can't do that because you actually have to research. So again, I'm not totally anti-research. And then someone's going to say, oh, now you're contradicting yourself. No, I'm not contradicting myself. Okay, so I'm not playing that game. Uh, there's just certain research that I'm just not going to do, right? Because one of the basic games in life is, where do you draw the line? And there's no real right answer to that question, right? What was the topic we were talking about? Everything you do programs you. So you have an act, you do something, and it's either reinforcing some uh, act or some attitude or some value, or it's not reinforcing that attitude or value, right? And this just is a basic kind of way of seeing things, right? That's makes sense, right? You're not, memory is vital to moving. And so you change your memories, you're changing how you move, right? And a change in memory is a change in the program, right? So everything you do programs you. Everything that happens to you programs you. I've never really said it that way, but it's true. Everything that happens to you programs you. And then people will say, oh, life doesn't happen to you. You make life happen. It's like, listen, um, I didn't make that car hit me in the car accident, right? I didn't make that happen. Now, that's a whole other spiritual thing of how we are creating this environment, creating this reality. And I just shake my head and I go, wow. And we'll get into that later too. Um, so everything you do programs you, which means that if you want to move your life in a certain direction, you need to take over that programming, right? That's the context I'm saying that statement in, right? You want to move differently, you want to feel differently, you want to relate differently, you want more satisfaction in life. Um, Start to take control over that programming, right? And it can feel weird because this culture is so used to, uh, there's so many programming things that happen in the culture that taking over that programming feels kind of weird, right? It's like, ooh, should I really be doing this? Ooh, yeah, you should. And then when you decide when you want to, the actively programming, or you just want to be in an environment that programs you in the right direction, well, then you can just let go and ride, right? And trust me, I get it. And I think that's why I'm getting obsessed with these presentations, because it's creating that sandbox environment where you can start to start to relax in terms of uh, uh, having to filter for good programming information, right? Because this is the best that you're going to get. Um, Trust me. Uh, there's lots and lots of places for personal development and lots of great ideas. I'm not taking anything away from the hundreds of people who are making offerings in what I call the wisdom business. At the same time, uh, there's no one that's giving these truths that really help you to undermine the sickness in the culture's perspective that would keep you in a box that doesn't free you, right? So, uh, I'm basically making an offering to set you free to join me, right? Set yourself free, or I have information that sets you free, and then join me, right? That's the basic kind of, motto, right? And who starts an organization or a network like that? Most of the time, people want to constrict you right from the start. I was like, no, I mean, at the end of the day, you don't have to listen to me, right? You don't have to do this. Oh, that's a bad, you know, you shouldn't say that. It's kind of bad from a hypnotic perspective. Listen, but it's true. You can do anything you want given your awareness, imagination, and available technology. And I want to relate to you based upon that truth, right? I don't want to relate to you based upon a fact that's not true. I don't want to relate to you in me being the ultimate controller over you, because it's simply not true. And you're not the ultimate controller over me once as I continue to move in that energy, right? So it evens the playing field right out the gate, and it means that if you're here, you're here, and if you're not, you're not. And that's a very good way to start off a relationship, right? Nothing is really hidden from a foundational perspective. You're with me or you're not, right? And if you're not, well then, like I explained, there's agreement. We can be in agreement. We can agree to disagree, or we can be in conflict. That's another video, of course. Um, and if we're in conflict, then we'll have to work that out. But if we're in agreement or agree to disagree, then we can do something together, we can work together. But that's what I wanted to share here. So they say, just do it. I say, do it like this.